2 years had passed since the last court hearing. Emiliano was now 10 years old, and his life was filled with laughter. Saturday soccer games, and the cooking lessons my mother gave him every Sunday. Though everything seemed peaceful, I knew Valeria and her parents had never truly accepted their defeat. They were like embers, still smoldering, waiting for the right moment to flare up again. One evening, while Emiliano was doing his homework in his room, I received a call from my lawyer. His voice was tense. "Lucas, you need to come to my office right away," he said without preamble. "Valeria has filed a new lawsuit." My heart raced. "Again?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "What are they claiming now?" "That you've been brainwashing Emiliano against them," he replied. "And this time, they have witnesses." "Witnesses?" I repeated, incredulous. "What are they talking about?" "Someone from the school," he explained. "Someone who claims Emiliano told them he doesn't want to see his mother or grandparents because you ordered him not to." A knot formed in my stomach. I knew this wouldn't be easy. "I'll be right there," I said, hanging up the phone. The next day, I was called to a meeting at Emiliano's school. When I arrived, the principal greeted me with a serious expression. "Mr. Hamilton, we have a problem," she said, gesturing for me to sit. "One of Emiliano's teachers has stated that he confessed to her that you told him not to speak to his mother or grandparents." I looked at the principal in disbelief. "That's ridiculous," I replied. "Emiliano is a smart kid. If he doesn't want to see them, it's because they've pushed him away with their behavior." The principal nodded, but her expression remained tense. "I understand, Mr. Hamilton, but the teacher in question has filed a sworn statement. The court will have to review the case." I left the meeting feeling a deep sense of injustice. I knew Valeria and her parents were behind this, but I had no proof. Still, I wasn't going to let them manipulate my son again. That night, as Emil got ready for bed, I decided to talk to him. "Hey, champ," I said, sitting on the edge of his bed. "Has anyone at school asked you about your mom or grandparents lately?" Emiliano frowned as if trying to remember something. Replied, "Ms. Martinez, my math teacher, asked if I missed my mom. I told her no, because they're always fighting with you." Oh, my heart ached. I knew Valeria and her parents were using the school to manipulate the situation. And what else did she ask? I asked, trying to stay calm. "If you told me not to talk to them," Emiliano answered. "But I told her no, that I just don't like how they treat me." I nodded, feeling a mix of pride and frustration. "Thanks for telling me the truth, son," I said. "Tomorrow, we'll talk to the principal. They can't keep using the school for their games." Emiliano nodded and lay down. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I knew Valeria and her parents wouldn't stop until they regained control over Emiliano. The next day, my lawyer and I met. To prepare our defense, we gathered all the evidence. The psychologist's reports, recordings of Valeria and her parents bad-mouthing me, and even statements from other teachers confirming that Emiliano was happy and well-adjusted. But this time, Valeria and her parents had been smarter. They had gotten Emiliano's teacher to testify in their favor, claiming I was manipulating him. I knew it would be a tough battle, but I wasn't going to back down. On the day of the hearing, Valeria and her parents arrived with their lawyers, clearly confident they would win this time. But as the judge began reviewing the evidence, his expression changed. "Mrs. Jackson," the judge said, looking at Valeria, "the evidence presented by Mr. Hamilton is consistent. Your son has expressed on multiple occasions, even to a psychologist, that he doesn't feel comfortable with you or your parents." Valeria turned pale. "That's not true," she exclaimed. "Lucas has brainwashed him." The judge interrupted her. "Mrs. Jackson, the evidence doesn't lie," he said firmly, "and the psychologist's report, along with statements from other teachers, confirms that Emiliano is in a safe and loving environment with his father." Valeria and her parents were left speechless. The judge continued. "Therefore, custody remains with Mr. Hamilton. Furthermore, the visits from the mother and maternal grandparents will be suspended until Emiliano expresses a desire to see them, and a social worker confirms that the environment is suitable for him." Valeria burst into tears and her parents shouted in protest. But the judge had already made his decision. Over time, Valeria and her parents finally seemed to understand. They couldn't win. Visits became non-existent, and Emiliano continued to grow up happy and secure. His bond with my parents strengthened, and his self-confidence blossomed like never before. One evening, as we sat on the couch watching a movie, Emiliano looked at me and said, "Dad, do you think Mom and the grandparents will ever change?" I smiled and answered honestly, "I don't know, son. But what I do know is that you deserve to be happy, and I'll always be here to make sure you are." He nodded, and we continued watching the movie, enjoying our peace. Today, 5 years after that final hearing, Emiliano is 15 years old. He's a confident, intelligent teenager, full of dreams. He plays on his school's soccer team, gets good grades, and has an incredible relationship with my parents, who have become his biggest supporters. Valeria and her parents, on the other hand, remain trapped in their bitterness. Sometimes Emiliano sees them at school events, but he no longer feels the need to have a relationship with them. He knows his happiness doesn't depend on their approval, and that's something that makes me deeply proud. One afternoon, as we sat in the garden of our home, Emiliano looked at me and said, "Dad, thank you." "For what, son?" I asked, surprised. "For never giving up," he replied. "For fighting for me when no one else would." I smiled, feeling that all the effort had been worth it. "Thank you, champ," I said. "It's for being my reason to keep going. This battle taught me that a father's love is priceless, but sometimes it comes at a cost. Losing battles, being called the villain, and facing injustice were all part of the journey. But in the end, the only thing that truly mattered was that Emiliano knew he would always have a home where he felt loved and protected. Today, when I look at my son, I no longer see the scared little boy who once feared his own grandparents. I see a strong, self-assured young man full of dreams. And I know that no matter what life brings, our bond is stronger than any manipulation, any lie, and any attempt to tear us apart. Because in the end, true love doesn't break. It's built, it's protected, and it's proven every single day. And that's a legacy no one can ever take away from us. Asterisk.